Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Ozicar Skip Barber is in the sun of Mexico City tonight for the season 13 of Ozicar Formula. Skip Barber, Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, the brothers Rodriguez here at Mexico City, Ciudad de Mexico. It's a new circuit on iRacing, famously fast front straight in the thin air at high altitude in Mexico City. We've got two classic Aussie car races ahead of us in the 20-minute compulsory pit stop format. All of that live here on SimSpeed TV as we bring you coverage. David Haynes with Jay Kennedy. And a shiny new plaything for us is Mexico City Grand Prix circuit.
Yeah, after we finished 2 weeks ago, we had a little bit of a look around to see what was here and how it all looked, and it's absolutely spectacular in the sim. We know it's spectacular in the real world, but tonight running a slightly different layout from what you see in the Grand Prix, skipping the turn 4-5 section with a shortened hairpin and then running straight past the stadium complex, and they will race around the outside of it, and it's a little bit faster, which will mean that we'll likely see some more passing.
Yes, there's a whole heap of layouts of interesting names. There's the classic Grand Prix layout. There's the EV circuit, and this is National Historic. This is the championship. Adam Miles has been incredibly difficult to stop everywhere that we've been so far this season. The driver from the UK waking up early to ply his Skip Barber specialist skills here in Ozicar. Neil Gardner and Adrian Duke are tied behind him for second, with Cameron Dance in fourth, 1 point behind that. Tim Harris, Sean Doyle, Jamie Stovall, Brody Shepherd, Daniel Stevens and Nathan Verney complete the top 10. And qualifying is almost completed too. It was just 10 minutes before we get into our first race. 12 laps with a compulsory tyre change, and then race 2, 12 laps with a compulsory tyre change. Progressive grid from race 1 to race 2. You can stop early and give up track position but preserve the balance of your car, or stop late and have a very challenging balance to your car later on, but having preserved your track position. And how will the slipstream down the front straight in the pack racing play out in and amongst all of that strategy as well will be the question. The championship leader blowing them all away by 4/10 in qualifying will start on that front row of the grid, on that pole position ahead of Adrian Duke. And then his teammate, Luke Sincotta, just behind in third, Brody Shepherd in fourth, with Mark Paneras in fifth, Craig Tilson sixth on the grid from Neil Gardner and Jamie Stovall, Cameron Dance in ninth, and Trevor Hearn in 10th. Then Daniel Stevens in 11th, Peter Wilkinson in 12th, Ira Felberg in 13th, David Bowman in 14th, Elliot D 15th, Warren Henry 16th, Peter Bowling 17th, John Snell 18th, Daniel Stevens in 19th. No, I looked in the wrong place. Nathan Verney in 19th, the last driver with a qualifying time, even if it's a little off the pace. Gavin Barber, Brett Gerards and Jeremy Bush with no qualifying time. Good to see a good grid here at a new track. Sometimes needing to open your wallet dissuades people, but then sometimes the allure of the shiny new thing brings more in.
I think the fact that it's a new Formula One circuit with plenty of layouts and something very, very different from all of the other circuits is probably the reason that a lot of people have gravitated towards purchasing it and making sure they're ready to go. But like you say, sometimes new tracks don't have the allure of others. As we get ready to go, the revs are rising.
Almost a kilometre from this standing start to the braking zone at turn 1. They get underway and they'll all go up through the gears. These naturally aspirated cars perhaps feeling a little bit anemic at such altitude, not breathing particularly easily. Adam Miles is immediately over to the left-hand side of the road as they pick up speed and go past 150 k's an hour. It feels and looks pedestrian, but it's such a long straight. They pass 180, pulling out of the slipstream. Adrian Duke is going to look to the inside of turn 1. The road opens up nice and wide, but around the outside, Adam Miles will go, try to preserve his race lead. How much can you cut of that turn 1, turn 2, turn 3? These cars don't like the curbs at all, and there is a big checkup at the apex of 2 and 3. You can see the top 3, top 2 even beginning to get away, and Mexico City traffic behind them.
Peter Bowling's picked up an issue as well, so he's got something wrong with his car. That's the first shortcut. Oh no, big crash behind these guys.
Shepard's backwards. Cameron Dance had a big lock-up. And Neil Gardner's also had some problems. You're back onto the familiar part of the racetrack now. My goodness, there's marbles already in and amongst all of that runoff. Adam Miles and Adrian Duke lead. Luke Sincotta not able to stick as close to them as he'd like. Neil Gardner back in 4th. Trevor Hearn's off the racetrack. Cameron Dance has been around. Peter Bowling's got the meatball flag. Rector Arts has got a slowdown. Oh dear.
I think Bowling potentially has blown the engine. Cameron Dance has also got a mechanical black flag, so he's had something go wrong, as you said. He's very slow and off the pace. You can see there as well. It's Trevor Hearn going slow, but 1 lap done. And no surprise to see Adam Miles straight into the pits.
A few others are going to come in as well. It's a tough pit entrance when you're going so fast on this national historic layout through the final corner. Final long 180 degrees. So this is everything that happened at sort of, turn 4. So just a tiny bit of contact there. Kent Dance got in hot and I think almost locked up all 4. And then... here. What do they manage? Does he think he's clear and he's not?
Oh, he's not.
There's still just that 5% tiny overlap, and he rolls backwards into a nasty spot.
That secondary car he hit too, that was nasty for them as well. So good news for him is he's been able to come into the pits and use his fast repair, get back out and going. Not good news, though, for Nathan Verney, speeding on pit entry for his pit stop, so he's going to drop a whole heap of time.
"22 pit stalls at this racetrack and a pit lane speed limit of 64.
Lucky we've got 22 drivers tonight.
Go. Everyone gets their own. This is the part of the racetrack not commonly used now, and then out of the baseball stadium comes the newest part of the racetrack, but into the pit lane come these drivers. So that yellow cone there, you've got to be down to 64 by the looks of things. Teammates Adrian Duke and Luke Sincotta carry on, and Sincotta picking up a bit of a slipstream perhaps, sets the new fastest lap of the race. Peter Wilkinson and David Bowman behind that. Here's Adam Miles, who made his stop and made it early.
Interesting, this track with that pit entry as well. The natural line, you do actually cut across the pit entry line and then spread out from it. So it did catch a few drivers out. We did see a couple of incidents in practice, but Miles is going to jump ahead of everyone from that pit stop. You just see ahead there. That's Gavin Barber. He's actually just driven through the lanes. I'm not sure if he's missed his pit box or if he is purposely doing a drive-through penalty. I'm not sure. Has he self-penalised himself for those incidents we saw earlier? I didn't think he was one of them, but that could potentially be what it is.
A handful of drivers had slowdown penalties that they maybe struggled to clear, or maybe he cut enough of the course that he ended up in trouble. I'm not sure. Is Elliot D and Jamie Stovald haven't stopped yet, just in behind David Bowman. This section of S's here is challenging. One really sets up into the other, and D's got himself into a bit of a quandary where Jamie Stovald is going to exit that sequence of corners with far more momentum, heading towards the super fast, long right-hander that closes out the lap.
See there as well that where the track goes into the stadium section for most of the other series here in the world, and you can see that's Bowman deciding to take that pit entry and almost got run over, as I said before, by Stovald and D. Almost made a little bit of a mess of that. They've all got away with it.
So this is team game from Cincotta and Adrian Duke. Massive slipstream down the front straight, and Adrian Duke lets his teammate Cincotta go. Stovald still battling here with Elliot D, who breaks first as Stovald overcooked it. Well, he certainly locked up a little bit, but I think he's gotten mostly back onto the line. And Ira Felberg, sort of turn 3 there, you want to grab a bunch of the curb, I think, if you can. Stovald's trying to break that toe again versus Elliot D.
You also can see that Gavin Barber has brought the car back into the pits and actually got it stopped on the markers this time and serve his pit stop. This track is one that does have a very, very nice flow to it.
Gavin Barber qualified 20th, so maybe he did just straight up miss his pit stall, because it would have been very near the pit entry end of the lane. Something to think about, as 6 drivers haven't made their stop yet, and Adam Miles in 7th has. And then behind that, Mark Paneras side by side with Cam Dance, who tries to go around the outside. Trevor Hearn takes the tight line through the new turn 4. It's him alongside Cam Dance again. Dance has a bit of a slide. This looks dangerous.
This is the corner that we've already seen contact. Oh, they still have already made contact there. They get away with it this time.
Wasn't immediately clear if they'd learnt anything.
I was worried.
Stovald and D, who've been battling, now pit together, leaving a top 4 that haven't stopped.
Wondering if D's had an issue with his pit stop, because that is a long time. Has he got a speeding in pit entry penalty? Even if you accidentally take 4 tyres, you're usually less than that, so that's a speeding penalty for him. Oh, how close do you want to be?
3 wide behind these guys as well, around David Bowman. Yep, there it is. It's 3 lanes.
This is not going to end well. Big lock up from Shepherd.
Yeah, has that lock up. Girards cuts back across. Bowman's a bit out of place between 2 and 3. Warren Henry gets an overlap on him and is now going to look to the inside of turn 4 further up. Paneras has got a slowdown penalty. Jeremy Bush has got a slowdown penalty. So are they getting that through turns 2 and 3, I think? Inside of Hearn goes Dance. And so we'll see if the third time if they've learnt anything.
I'm going to say no. Although they're single file for now, no, they haven't learned a thing.
Dance tries to bomb the inside of Paneras, and I think that works. Trevor Hearn wasn't expecting that, and he gets caught up in a bit of a concertina effect there. So Dance moves up another spot. Adam Miles, still the highest running car that's made the compulsory pit stop. No pit stop made yet from the teammates here who are trying to do the leapfrog. I want to think of some smarter way to describe it, but it's not quite a Mexican wave.
I like where you're going with it, but I can't think of what it would be either. So, yeah, we'll think of something by the end.
Burrito tacos doesn't apply either. Guacamole, no. Brody Shepherd leading, trying to break that toe. Brett Girards with the massive slipstream that you're going to get in a long straight like this. Up ahead, they're going 3 wide as Paneras and Hearn go side by side. Big lock up and missing turn one from David Bowman.
Duke and Sincotta keep going.
Ludicrous slipstream. Yeah, it's keeping the packs together. Like Dance and Hearn and Shepherd and Gerards and Duke and Sincotta are trying to use it. They're lapping pretty cleanly compared to some of these battle packs, but they still don't have the pace that Adam Miles has got with the fastest lap of the race set in clean air. Trevor Hearn has missed a whole heap of the track there.
Yeah, I don't think that's the fastest line.
Cut a bit. No.
I'm surprised he hasn't got a bigger slow down. Yeah, there we go. You can see him starting to slow down now as Elberg comes in, so only 3 left to put out. Oh, Rat's had to move a fair bit.
Should have known.
Yeah.
Like, we were on board with Gerards when we saw Trevor Hearn cut the corner so egregiously. Might have suspected that a slowdown penalty was coming, particularly once he closed that quickly.
Elberg's going to come out of the pits just behind these guys.
Making his stop.
So, by the looks of it, Verney and D both had speeding penalties. Gavin Barber potentially took all 4 tyres, but everyone else has made a clean 2-tyre stop. And Miles is just miles ahead.
He is 1.62 kilometres ahead. Neris on board. He's ended up behind Dance, and Shepherd and Gerards have also snuck through. There you go. Adrian Duke and Luke Sincotta managed to find yet more speed. 34.951. Okay, so realistically right now your 3 fastest cars are Adam Miles in clean air and Adrian Duke and Luke Sincotta working together and not battling, while the pack racing at high average speed is keeping everyone else together and is keeping them battling and is costing them time. Ain't me surprised Gerard's got away with those track limits, but okay. What, 1 tyre on the curb and you're all good?
Must be. It's very, very close. I can't see how he actually didn't get one. So, yeah, I'm not sure on that. Interesting, too, that we're talking about Sincotta and Duke, how their lap pace was very, very good that lap. Sincotta was 1/1000th of a second faster than Adam Miles, even with all of the draft that those guys are working with each other together. So it's not helping them a huge amount.
Well, the low 35s is helping them compared to everyone else who's doing 36s. Right. So I think they're looking to lock in sort of second and third. They haven't covered off Adam Miles. Adam Miles hasn't encountered any traffic and has been metronomic as he has been all season. This is how he's driving. He knows where the track limits are, I suspect.
He's just breaking huge margin. Neil Gardner behind, a second a lap, give or take. So he's doing a great job.
Putting a lap down on Elliot D or Nathan Verney by the looks of things.
Yeah, that was Elliot.
So Daniel Stevens battling with Craig Tilson, Brody Shepherd with Cameron Dance, Brett Gerards and Mark Panaris, and Warren Henry with Jeremy Bush, and then still waiting on a couple of pit stops. So this is on board with Stevens looking backwards. Tilson, what, 4 car lengths back? You'll get about halfway down the straight, and speed differentials already at 2 kilometers an hour, 3 kilometers an hour, 4 kilometers an hour, 5. Can I get 6? Yes, I can get 6 k's an hour, so that's a nice little advance from the slipstream. You can see why the leapfrog works between Duke and Sincotta.
The issue is that their outright pace is probably not good enough for Miles, and even with the leapfrogs that they're doing, Miles was at 10th of a second faster that previous lap over Duke, and nearly a full second faster than Cincotta. So that net gap is closing, but the car that they are truly battling is Neil Gardner, and they are much quicker than him.
I don't think they'll be frustrated to know they're not outpacing Adam Miles, but they'll be happy to be outpacing the rest of the field. Peter Wilkinson pits.
Just leaves those two now left to pit.
Each successive car wider than the one that came before. Cameron Dance, after the contact and the damage, trying to come back through the field, not just for this race, but also for the grid that was set for race 2. And then Shepherd tries to jump down the inside on the way in to a very tight line, and then eventually you're trying to floor it on the exit. So I think Shepherd will get a pretty good run there at Dance. Wilkinson feeds back in.
Wilco's in a pretty decent spot here. He's going to be in the top 10, so he'll be pretty overjoyed with that if he can hold on to this position.
Well, anyone who stayed out of the mid-pack battle around Panaris, Dance, Shepherd, Trevor Hearn here, I think has actually done well for themselves. So that's why it's working out for Cincotta and Duke. That's why it's working out for Adam Miles. And that's why it's worked out for Peter Wilkinson.
Yeah. And Dance, even though he had that issue, he and Brody Shepherd both put it on that first lap. They've both come through together, whereas Panaris and Trevor Hearn, they waited an extra lap. Leaders are now in, so this will be interesting to see where they come out, how far ahead of Neil Gardner they are. But Miles to Gardner, when we checked into that before, it was 11 seconds. It's now 14. He is flying.
Duke and Cincotta qualified second and third, so they'll have pit stalls 2 and 3 right at the pit exit end. Near the Porsche safety car and the nice collection of rubbish that you'd found next to a shipping container.
Legit pile of junk just sitting there. It's absolutely fantastic. Like
it looks like a Call of Duty map.
Yeah, it does.
Seriously, that's what it looks like in some of the areas on the inside of the paddock. Scanned in excruciating detail right down to, you know, drums of fuel, paint, oil, halfway torn down shipping pallets. Board with Stevens. Speed. Now he's also attempting the leapfrog with Tilson as teammates like Duke and Cincotta have done, who've come out and are comfortably second and third. Slightly quicker stop from Duke though. Other battles to be decided through the field like this. Panaris versus Girards. Girards is trying to play chess here. And I think he's put his pawn in the correct place to move his queen to checkmate Panaris towards turn 4.
He's going to get this done quite easily, although Panaris may be able to switch it back and try, but he's not quite able to do it with driving from Girards to hold on to that position. So he now moves up to 11th. They'll be chasing down Wilkinson, who will still be trying to warm up those front tyres. It does take a little bit to warm them up, so you will need to be careful for a little bit.
Track temp is a nice 32, but that is all over the shop for Mr. Wilkinson. Missed a couple of corners there, and they'll be bearing down on him. Adam Miles begins the final lap of race 1. Not much in the way of wind, though. I'd say that's a great day, but it's picking up as we go. Just a little bit of track temperature with the sun out.
Remy Stovall's
Wilkinson,
close in heaps of time.
Panaris, yes.
Stovall, he gained a full second on Stevens and Tilson on that previous lap, and now has just got past Tilson. May have enough speed to get Dan Stevens as well. He's going to be very, very late on the brakes. He backs out of it the last second.
Put Stevens in that awkward spot through 2 and 3. A similar thing's going to happen back here. Panaris around the outside. Him and Girards have both gotten by Wilkinson. Tries to cross them back over. Girards gets a good exit. Stovall's inside. to turn 4 versus Daniel Stevens, who carries heaps of speed around the outside. Adam Miles, after taking the pole, pitting at the end of lap 1, hasn't seen almost anyone all race long, but he'll be the first to see the checkered flag for Ozicar at Mexico City. Next, the duo of Duke and Cincotta, who I think executed about as best as they could, and they'll complete the podium from Neil Gardner. But as for behind that, you tell me. Oh, nasty marbles out wide there for Stovall. Look, he's in so much filth. No grip.
He's going to lose that spot to Tilson. Yeah, he does. So he's lost out in the end. They finished where they were the previous lap. And Shepherd not quite close enough to be able to get that move done on Cameron Dance. One battle left to go. Gav Barber, John Snell, side by side. Battle for 19th. Great this series that there is always a battle going on the whole way through the field. So this is for 18th and 19th. Barber didn't have the race that he would have liked, but he'd be happy to get one more spot back at the end. And I don't think he's got it.
Well, what timing line are we using? Because I think
it's where that checkered line is. He's missed out by 3 hundredths of a second.
So he has. Oh, yeah, D's going to be the last to see the checkered flag because Peter Bowling went a lap down. High average speed, lots of slipstreaming, not a lot of grip out on this circuit. Made a very interesting race one. Adam Miles just absolutely flexing his muscle. Adrian Duke and Luke Cincotta trying to work together, and that helped them fend off the rest of the field as they battled. Neil Gardner got to 4th, and then Daniel Stevens, Craig Tilson, Jamie Stovall, Cameron Dance, Brody Shepherd, and Brett Gerards as the top 10. Mark Paneras, Peter Wilkinson, Trevor Hearn, Jeremy Bush, Warren Henry, Ira Felberg, David Bowman, John Snell, and Gavin Barber. That's the margin you want to look at. Snell just had it.
35 thousandths of a second.
And then, like we said, last cars on the lead lap, Verney and D. Bowling with some damage ended up lap down. Pretty quick laps, to be honest, for a Grand Prix circuit in this car. So not too hard to end up a lap down. One of the largest cities anywhere in the world, an urban population of over 20 million, and they're all out there, and they're all scanned in great detail. It's amazing, this track, and I'm getting good frames. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's chugging along quite nicely, which is surprising for the amount of detail there is. We were amazed how far away from the circuit you can actually look and still see details of the golf course and the airport and all those different sorts of things, the train tracks. We went and explored a couple of train stations as well, didn't we?
You can see the escalator going up into the metro station 3 stops away from the circuit. What you can't do is pop inside the velodrome or the aquatic centre.
There's no
here,
pool.
but there's so much. No, that's a shame. That's a real shame. You've got to go to Portimao if you want to see iRacing scan a swimming pool.
Monza?
Yes. Outside of the circuit, front straight. Indeed. We're 3 minutes away from race 2, so we'll take a little break here on SimSpeed TV and come back to beautiful Mexico City for race number 2.
It is feature time in Tulsa. Let's go green.
He's got the run, but is it enough? It's a drag race to the finish. Culver goes from 3rd to 1st in the last quarter.
Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races such as the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR calendar, such as the Daytona 500 and the Coke 600. We have races from disciplines across the racing world, from the Indy 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events use iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against everyone taking part. As every race progresses, watch and feel the track change, with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iracing.com/special-events.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Bienvenidos indeed to Ozicar at Mexico City. Well, race one was exciting, really long front straight. A bit of teamwork happening for MFR and the teammates of Duke and Sincotta. Adam Miles strategically knocking everyone down a peg. We'll see what happens in the midfield battle now in race two. Same deal, 12 laps, compulsory tyre change in the middle, and Adam Miles starting from pole, because our grid order is as they finished race two. So a couple of drivers looking to come through, like Gavin Barber, like Cameron Dance, and some others as well. It will be another good race.
Be fantastic. Just waiting for Elliot D to get on the grid and we will be underway. And there he is. So revs rise.
Track temp rises a little bit as well for whatever that means, and it's a long, long run from starting here to braking at turn one at the other end of the straight. Everyone looks to drop in line, pick up the slipstream, but Stovall can't quite do that as he's alongside Tilson. And now Adrian Duke begins to slipstream on Adam Miles. Neil Gardner's got a double slipstream on them, so they fan out, having narrowed down. They must eventually fan out. Dance with a big dive to the inside of one there, taking it 3 wide and opening it up to go around the outside of turn 2. He's trying to gain some spots. Almost a little bit of teammate-friendly fire. Trevor Hearn cuts back on the exit of turn 3. Brett Gerard's cut too much of the track, and they're kicking up the dust all the way on the inside line towards turn 4 as Adrian Duke and Adam Miles go side by side for that lead.
Yeah, Craig Tilson bounced it over the curb. He would have bottomed the car out and scraped it along the ground a bit. So that definitely halted his momentum. He dropped a couple of spots down the straight, but relatively clean when you compare that to the start of race one. Although this corner was where we saw a little bit of action as well. So good to see that we're staying a bit cleaner this time around. I think everyone's learnt some lessons from race one.
Brady Shepherd's trying to pick up a couple of spots as he moves around in the slipstream. Wilkinson gets a slow down. Miles and Duke are almost getting away with this. Is Miles going to go for that early pit stop again? And if he does, does Duke follow him? Duke's going to follow him. I like that. Jeez, that's an aggressive pit entry from Miles. Duke. Dance stays out and takes the race lead.
Stovall was so fast coming into the lane, he almost locked it up. Wilkinson has been too fast coming in, he's got a black flag.
Oh dear. So
Well,
these are the
actually,
drives
there's
that are
more to
carried
it.
on. Bowling with a meatball, D with a meatball, so there was plenty happening.
He's got a flat tyre by the looks of it. Elliot D, well, he's done. He's in the pits. They've not had a great night, those two.
Brody Shepherd leads this second of the cars that have stayed out, having gained 7 positions, but obviously having quite a few cars pit in front of him. Same for Cameron Dance. Trevor Hearn up 8. Gavin Barber up 10. Has had the most drivers in front of him pit. He leads that next group just a bit further back there as we come to turn 4.
When we talk about how unlucky Peter Bowling is here, wait till you see this replay. This is Elliot B. Slide on. A couple of cars in front there had a slide as well. I think that was Wilkinson, and bang. Where does he go?
Side by side through the S's. Have they not learned? Well, Cameron Dance has. He's learned to be 1.8 seconds clear of all of this and find himself a bit of clean road as they go 3 wide, skipping the baseball stadium. Lucas Codd has been separated from his teammate Adrian Duke. Big slide, lurid slide from Trevor Hearn indeed. Those marbles, nasty. 2 lanes on the racetrack, 1 lane into the pit entry. Dance comes in, Stevenson, Cotter and Craig Tilson come in. Adrian Duke doesn't look like he's come out of the pit lane in Adam Miles' slipstream, which is what he probably needed. So Miles doing better on the cold tyres, I think, and just stretching away from Duke, who would have dearly loved a big front straight slipstream.
I'll be hoping that Cam Dance comes out of the pits in a decent spot, although his pit stop time is looking extremely long. I think Dance is sped in the pit lane. Yep.
Other drivers are going past, and Cameron Dance is holding.
Neil Gardner also sped on his pit exit, so he received a black flag and has brought the car back to the pits for that. And Dance looks like he may be done.
Oh dear. He's in a good position until that. So overcooked that pit entry like we've seen. He carries so much speed through that final corner. Too much speed carried through that corner for Brett Gerards. And then you got to slow down to 64 k's an hour and quick. Gerard pulls to the side. Trevor Hearn and Mark Panaris go past. So if you do cut those S's, big slow down to be served.
We just got confirmation from Dance as to what happened there with that sliding that was going on. He actually received an unsafe pit entrance penalty. He received that penalty and was stuck in the pits. We'll be back next week or next round, I should say, when we head to Bathurst.
So we'll have a couple more pits from Trevor Hearn and Mark Panaris. Adrian Duke, new fastest lap of the race. Well, that's promising. Is there any hope of getting a little bit of the Miles slipstream? No, because Adam Miles did basically exactly the same lap time. He closed him in by a whopping, that's 0.006 of a second, yes.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. You know what battle looks close at the moment is Gavin Barber versus Warren Henry. Barber's just come out of the pits. He's going to struggle on these front cold tyres, but Warren Henry pitted the previous lap. He's going to have a little bit of extra help.
No, he's not. He's got to slow down. Oh, dear.
That won't help.
Did he cut turn 3 there?
I think it is turn 3 that's giving those penalties because we've seen everyone be very aggressive through 2, but not quite as aggressive through 3.
It's gotten rid of his furled black flag. It's not really furled when you see the graphic. It's just sort of hanging there.
It's hanging out, isn't it? It's not really doing anything exciting.
Looks
Tell you what,
like
I
how...
Barber's ride is exciting, isn't it? I love seeing how
Yeah.
much his rig moves around. And it would be interesting, this track, with, being an F1 track, you'd expect it to be smooth, but it doesn't look smooth.
Furled black flag looks like a magician holding a handkerchief that they're about to reveal something underneath. It's happened for David Bowman.
That's the turn 3 slowdown, is it?
Perhaps. Now it all stems from the braking at turn 1, which is tough, and then if you go too deep into 1, then you're offline through 2, and if you're offline through 2, you cut too much at 3. So he's offline braking into 1. Oh, okay.
Oh, it's just gone deep.
Right.
Yeah, and then cut it. It's been deep between 1 and 2, and cut 3 because he was way offline. It's a bit unfortunate. This gap between Miles and Duke isn't stretching out all that much. It's staying around, give or take, that 1.5 second bracket, isn't it?
Are we fast enough that there's almost a bit of slipstream at that distance?
Right,
Down the
it'd be
front
right
straight,
on the edge.
like Retro Arts pits, RFLberg pits, so these guys will move past them. You can get an unsafe pit entrance, but can you get an unsafe pit not entrance? Because they are using a lot of that.
They are being very
Does it
aggressive
look like
over that.
Adrian Duke closing it all down the front straight. Snell and Bowman haven't stopped yet, and they're battling a bit up the road from Miles and Duke.
Fun fight, those two haven't.
Problem last lap for Bowman. He dropped back. Now he's coming back towards John Snell. This is drivers that have stopped down the front straight. Yeah, so then it's like, okay, if you brake early enough for 1, then you get to use so much road into 2 and 3. And then in these cars, a good exit off of 3, you could see you battling up to turn 4. And because the turn 4 on this national historic configuration cuts out part of the arenary bit up here, where it spits you back out is a lot closer to these S's, so you don't have as much time to set up for this. So turn 4 really becomes the start of the S's, and then your exit off of here is onto a decently long back straight, so you can't make a complete meal of it.
We've seen a fair few drivers get slowdown penalties through that section, haven't we? We've seen in race 1, we saw a contact between Hearn and Dance. We've seen a fair bit go on at that section, so not as easy as you would expect. They're just past halfway as well. Brody Shepherd, the only driver left to pit. Remember, we saw him pit a lot earlier in race 1, but decided to lead a little bit of this one. He's got a 24-second advantage. David Bowman has just picked up a black flag, I am guessing, speeding as he's dropped from the jacks. John Snell as well.
Well, they'll be back together for their battle again then. My oh my.
I wonder, I know that this does catch people out because people are so used to having a pit lane speed limiter in most cars. These obviously don't. Would that have caught them out there? Would they have just accelerated after their pit stop and then realised, oh, whoops, I've gone way too fast? And I'm just looking at
yes,
David Bowman. I just saw his speed went up 83 kilometres in the pit lane.
They had a compulsory pit stop in race 1 as well.
And slip your mind though. Especially if you subconsciously still press the button that you've got set for a pit lane speed limiter, and you know your pit stalls really early on. Such a fun section of this track there.
Verney was really trying to set up for the exit. But lost a couple of car lengths through the middle of it. So the question becomes, where does Brodie Shepherd feed in? It's going to be behind Adam Miles and Adrian Duke, I would think. But can he battle for a podium with Jamie Stovald? Stovald has made his stop and ended up in a bit of clean air, then clear of the battle between Sid Cotter and Stevens and Gerard. So Stovald's not in a bad spot, as Bowman and Snell both come in to serve their penalties and hopefully, you know, stick to the speed limit this time, serving their penalties. So, sort of, I think the margin Shepherd versus Stovald is of some interest to me.
Yeah, I think that's about where he'll slot in. Probably just ahead of Stovald, but of course the cold front tyres, they do take a little bit to get yourself back up to speed. So it might take a little bit for him to get back up to pace, and by then Stovald will close that gap down to Shepherd. So it's going to be a very interesting battle for that final lap. You'll guess it'll be one lap. He'll pit as late as he can, and then he'll try and hold on. It's going to be really interesting. And then you got Sincotta and Stevens here. This is an interesting fight as well for a top 5. And Panaris, Barber and Verney, those guys we were watching before, they are still going at it, and that's for the top 10.
Faster than Gerard's last lap as well. So it'll all come back together in the midfield as it always does.
Yep.
Different lines into the final corner. Don't get too much slip angle on and don't end up too wide is the message. They're all coming back to a rather late apex because the slingshot is of utmost importance. Nathan Verney can pick and choose who he gets a tow from as Panaris and Barber go side by side on the front straight.
Bowman and Snell are coming out nose to tail as well.
A lap down, they lost an insane amount of time from that.
1 minute pit stops for each.
Were they actually drive-throughs, or is
No,
that
they
the
were
penalty
stop and
that's been
holds.
given? Really, a
think-
minute for...
I think because they didn't just exceed the speed limit, they ended up, once they'd already got the black flags, they just floored it and kept going.
Okay.
I think they
It's a unique
both regretted
situation.
the situation afterwards, but anyway.
Verney's looking to sort of go around the outside.
I was thinking about throwing it up the inside of Panaris there too, but decided against it. That's aggressive. Is he okay there? I think he's clear.
That line works as well. Can you go around the outside? Don't
No,
get too
no chance.
wide, Verney.
Marbles are going to slow that down for sure. He's going to tuck back in behind, but he might be able to cross back over. Is he trying to test this for the last lap? Can't quite get ahead before the start-finish line, but I think he might have worked out what he can do if he's stuck behind on that final lap.
Gavin Barber's going to move one side, the other, play them off each other, try to keep them side by side. He hasn't judged it perfectly because Nathan Verney is probably going to get ahead and get clear. Jeremy Bush closes in on them as well.
John Snell's had an issue. This is something I was not expecting to see. Right there. Boom.
No bueno on the engine, as they say in these parts.
Brodie Shepherd in.
Brodie Shepherd pits. Yes, yes. He the last 2 laps been pulling just a little bit of extra margin on Jamie Stovald. So he had been overcutting him a little bit, but he'll need a fair bit of time in his pocket versus Stovald, because Stovald will be quicker in the final 2 laps. Adam Miles will go through and into the lead of the race momentarily, having just pulled a little bit of time on Adrian Duke. Duke looks pretty safe for second place at the minute.
Long stop for Shepherd.
And so much of the pit loss happens from the pit exit all the way down towards turn 1. So Stovall right now is going 40 k's an hour quicker, and that continues all the way from the pit exit to turn 1. So Stovall looks like he's got position 3 in the books. Vernie with a slingshot versus Gavin Barber.
Sin Cotter will think he's a chance on Shepherd too in the next lap or so, so that'll be interesting with 2 to go. This is a great fight though for 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th.
Vernie, so much of a shortcut at turn 2, but gets away with it. Okay, well, that's the line. Gavin Barber, not as daring in the slightest. Jeremy Bush looks like he gets past Paneras.
Shepherd had a slowdown. He's lost even more ground to Sin Cotter.
Less grip you got, the more difficult track limits become, and it does look tough. Sin Cotter looks like he could get towards 4th place. He'll get a really good run here, and he'll still have more grip through the final corner to then repeat the slipstream down the front straight. This really sort of links the back and front straights together. You could start 1.5 seconds back coming off the Esters and challenge into turn 1.
Speaking of challenging, that's Jeremy Bush forcing Gav Barber out into the marbles. Barber's done a decent job to hold it as close to the inside as he can. Loses the spot, but he will push on.
Great run from Sin Cotter.
Yep.
Have the inside versus Brody Shepherd. He should still have a bunch more grip as well when it comes to change of direction through a sequence like that.
Oh, this
3
is going
wide, getting absolutely swamped. Nathan Vernie started ahead of both of those cars. Jeremy Bush and Gavin Barber go past him. Now he's going to try to go around the outside of Barber in 2, inside of 3. Massive fly over the curb, but apparently you can get away with that. Jeremy Bush comes out like a bandit on the final lap.
And Shepherd's made a mistake into turn 4. Almost makes contact into the rear of Sin Cotter, but that will end the battle.
Paneras is right up Gavin Barber here. Vernie runs wide versus Bush. Adam Miles is negotiating the final corner on his way to sweeping Mexico City. Championship leader extends it further with perfection at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Duke, 2 second places. Stovall 3rd. 3 wide with Vernie heading into the final corner. Someone's going to be in the marbles.
Jeremy Bush.
Can you get your nose back underneath? He's got to ride the wall, but can Vernie get his nose back underneath in the final corner? He can't. So Gavin Barber, good job there for 8th. Vernie in 9th. Paneras 10th. And Jeremy Bush all riding to 11th.
Some really good battles in this second race tonight. It was brilliant to watch. Elberg finishes 13th in there. Biggest movers were Gavin Barber and Nathan Vernie, both plus 11 in the end, to lead that battle home in that 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th group. Peter Bowling also, he will pick up 4 spots. Despite getting a mechanical black flag on lap 1, starting last, he still gains 4 spots and finishes on the lead lap. So well done.
Three pit stops, 1 penalty, 1 engine change. John Snell comes home in 20th. Slimmer margin in race 2 for Adam Miles as Adrian Duke copied his strategy, but just didn't come out of the pit lane close enough to tag and snag that slipstream. Jamie Stovall therefore moves up from 7th to 3rd in the second race. Luke Sin Cotter gets 4th to cap off a very well-rounded round. Brody Shepherd in 5th, Daniel Stevens in 6th, Brett Gerards in 7th. Gavin Barber up 11 spots in the race to 8th. Nathan Vernie up 11 spots in the race to 9th. Mark Paneras into the top 10. Jeremy Bush in the 11th with Warren, Henry, Ira Felberg and Elliot D. The drivers who made lots of gains of positions got them at the expense of drivers like Craig Tilson losing 9, Trevor Hearn losing 3, Peter Wilkinson losing 5. Peter Bowling picked up a couple versus race 1 result into 18th, but David Bowman, John Snell down just a few, and Cameron Dance and Neil Gardner DNFing race 2 after top 5s in race 1. So we've got plenty of people standing by to chat. Like Jamie Stovold. Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
It's good. This is my first look at Mexico City, and gee, that front straight is long. And
yeah.
What else did you discover?
I didn't discover the stadium, which I was super excited to drive through, and then found out that it wasn't actually that configuration. So no crowd, no big crowd, no baseballs flying around, unfortunately. Yeah, very long straight, especially in these cars. Yeah, almost had a bit of a snooze.
I think they call it a siesta.
Isn't that the opposite? Maybe, no. I don't know.
So then 8th in qualifying to eventually 3rd in the final race. Strategy seems to have a lot of people do one thing race 1, do a different thing race 2. Was it the same for you?
Yeah, everyone dived in really early in race 1, and I think I left it too late, and I ended up coming out with no one around me, so it was just like people in front of me were drafting, people behind me were drafting, and I was just on my lonesome. In race 2, I decided to join everyone else on the first lap pit stop. Nearly died coming into pit lane, but that's fine. Didn't get a drive through or anything. Came out and again on my lonesome, but yeah, the undercut just seemed to be where it was today. I don't know. It worked.
Well, eventually it works out for you and you move up throughout both of the races, pick a couple of points, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks guys. Definitely much needed today to get some points after the last couple of poor rounds. So yeah, looking forward to the last one.
3rd place in the final race, Jamie Stovold. Adrian Duke with the double 2nd places. Well, two different strategies to get there.
Yep. We tried everything we could throw at him, but he knows something about these cars that we don't. That strategy we're hoping would work against. Like we were trying to beat Adam with the slipstreaming each other, and I think it worked pretty well. But yeah, Adam's just too fast. And then second race, Luke had a bad first lap, and yeah, had to ban their plan for the second race. But yeah, good result, and yeah, saw Luke got 4th in the second race, so really good round for Powered by Coffee.
It's always a good round to be powered by coffee. What do you think about this layout of Mexico City? Not quite the Grand Prix layout, but maybe even more slipstreamy.
Oh, when Ira announced the layout, I was a little bit disappointed. I thought it was going to be like kind of a Monza thing with these slow cars, just point and squirt and wait 40 seconds and point and squirt, wait another 40 seconds. But it was actually really, really fun track to hot lap. Like the corners are really interesting, and I like how important every single corner is. Like you really have to nail them. That's what Adam was doing, and I was keeping up a little bit in the second race, but yeah, like if you miss a beat on any of those corners, you're gone. So I actually ended up really enjoying the track.
Fantastic. And I think this puts you to second in the championship. Things were very, very close for sort of second, third, fourth, fifth coming in. Obviously, Adam Miles has been almost impossible to topple from the top, but your consistency here today is going to be very strong for you.
Yeah, entered this round equal in points with Neil. So I saw he had a bad race. I know he had a bad second heat. I'm not sure what happened, but yeah, I thought with me and Luke's strategy, that would be my chance to have a go at second. But otherwise, I feel like Neil's a little bit faster than me through most of these tracks. So yeah, that's a really good result, and yeah, it looks like I do have a solid chance of second in the championship now.
What are you going to call that trophy?
Don't know. A surprise. I wasn't. Yeah, this car, these rounds, like the two crazy fast drivers. I think I was aiming for third at best. So to be fighting for second is a nice surprise.
Awesome. We'll see you at the finale.
Cheers, guys. See you at Bathurst.
And our double race winning championship leader joins us. Well, your strategy is pretty easy to predict, but very difficult to stop.
Yeah, I didn't really come in with too much of a plan. I mean, I'm always worried that if I pit early like that, then there's going to be a sort of group of cars who've maybe had bad first laps and are sort of hanging 20, 25 seconds off the lead, and then I'd end up stuck in a little bit of a train. But came out both times into free air and really didn't have to make my way through any traffic. So, yeah, just figured it would be a drafty track. It didn't turn out not to be as drafty as I thought, but yeah, just wanted to get in, get out of the tow, and then try and put in some quick laps by myself.
You've got the sort of S's between turn 4 and the baseball stadium that it's a lot. It's like 3 Ascari chicanes, so it's not just straight corner, straight corner, straight corner.
Yeah, I mean, it is a couple of pretty long straights in there, but yeah, you're right. I don't know, to be honest, where I was finding time versus the folks like Adrian and Brody and Neil, but it must have been there somewhere, and I'm sure it wasn't on the straight. So I'll have a look on Gary 61 and see where it came from. But it's a track where you need to learn the track limits. It surprised even me, like how much of turn 2 apex, turn 3 apex, and then through the S's, just if you've got a whiff of a wheel on the red and white curb, they let you do it. So yeah, there's probably a good half second or a full second maybe just from learning the off tracks and curbs.
And then the final corner looks very interesting in this layout. National historic. There was the wall running right around the outside, some very thick marbles in places, and sort of always coming back to a very late apex.
Yeah, I did went out wide a couple of times in practice just to see if I could pick up an extra mile an hour for the start of a qualifying lap. But yeah, it's very noticeable actually how slippery it is out there. Those marbles are not just for show. As I think someone found on the, I was just caught the end of the broadcast. I think someone ended up out there on the last lap. But yeah, no, it's I'm glad we did this layout. I think having the old historic Peraltada corner was a better choice than the slightly Mickey Mouse Stadium section, although it has its own charm. So yeah.
What about the Formula E layout?
I
Very
saw that
opposite
on
of this
there.
layout.
Yeah, I think if Ara picked the layout, I think he picked the right one. I don't think that one was really representative of what this track's all about.
Would have been fun. Congratulations. You extend your lead in the championship when we head to Bathurst next time.
Yeah, looking forward to that. I think I'm right in saying it's the only endurance race of the season. I did miss one, so if I'm wrong about that, then it must have been one on the race I missed. But yeah, looking forward to Bathurst. I always go well there, so I'll keep my strategy under wraps, but obviously want to just try and put in some quick laps, and got plenty of time to do it.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.
Well, there it is. Ozicar's season 38, the 13th season of Skip Barbers, as it's round 6 at Mount Panorama Circuit, November 24th. We look forward to that greatly. And thank you to everyone who's supported Ozicar over the journey. Prestige Trophy Badge and engraving, Locked On Lads, and the No Social Hate campaign. The two very exciting slipstreaming, wheel-to-wheel battling strategy races from Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series from Mexico City. We look forward to going to Bathurst in 2 weeks' time. You'll see it here on SimSpeed TV. Been our pleasure to have you. Thank you so much. David Haynes with Jay Kennedy for SimSpeed TV.